How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Chavav, Daf 26 of Sotah Sotah. Friends, well, Daf Chavav, we continue talking about people who don't drink the bitter waters. Alright, we're going to start Daf Chafayim Beis, pretty much at the top of Chafayim Beis. It's, as I mentioned at the end of the Daf yesterday, it's a pretty short Daf. So, and then, but Daf Chavav is not a pretty short Daf. But yeah, we're going to start in Daf Chafayim Beis just because, then this kind of continues for a while. So, alright. We're going to start at the second line of Daf Chafayim Beis, Me'uberes Chaveroi Chule. So, if if you have a woman who is pregnant or nursing, and then she becomes a widow or she gets divorced, so then she can't get married for 2 years until the baby is 2 years old and is no longer nursing. So if a fellow does marry her during this time, so he wasn't supposed to marry her, and he did, and then she, there was a kinoi and stira, a whole Sotah situation, she does not drink the bitter waters. Amr of Nachman and Rav Barvua, Machloges ba'akore vizkeno, or aval elonis de ve'akol. Okay, so we had said in the Mishnah that if you have a fellow, so I guess this is a different case. If you have a fellow who was never married before, well, he doesn't have any children, that's the main thing. You have a fellow who doesn't have any children, therefore he's not yet Mekayim the mitzvah of Pura Revu. So he's not allowed to marry a Zikena, somebody who's past the age where she's able to have children, or if she, for whatever reason, she was able to have children, but then she drank some kind of potion that prevents her from having children. So in these cases, so then she does not drink, right? So if you have a fellow who's not yet Mekayim Pura Revu, and he's married to an Akara or a Zikena, so then she does not drink the bitter waters. Now Rabbi Eliezer had said, yes, she does drink the bitter waters, because even though he can't have a child with them, he can always marry another woman and have a child with that woman and be Mekayim Pura Revu with that woman and be married to this other woman, and you don't need to be Mekayim Pura Revu with them if you're Mekayim with the other woman. So therefore Rabbi Eliezer says that there isn't necessarily anything usher with being married to these women, and therefore they would drink the bitter waters. So Amr of Nachman, Amr Rav Barvua, Machlokas ba'akore v'zkena. So this machlokas between the Tanakama and Rabbi Eliezer is only by, if she drinks the, only if she drinks the, interesting, is it Rabbi Eliezer or Rabbi Elazar? Because in Quote of Bryce where it says Rabbi Elazar. Okay, anyways, I'll say Rabbi Eliezer. So this machlokas is does she drink the bitter waters? Does she not drink the bitter waters? Is only by an akare and a zikena. Avol ilonis. But what if you have an ilonis, right? A kastradala, right? A woman who's just physically never able to have children. She doesn't mature. She doesn't reach puberty. She's unable to have children. So divriyakol lo shosav lo notelas ksubaso. So everyone would agree. Even Rabbi Eliezer would agree that she would not drink the bitter waters, and she would not receive her ksubish and emar, as the pasuk says, v'niksav v'nizra azar. It says in the context of Sotah that if she did not have an affair, so then v'nizra azar, she will have a child, mishadarka lazria, a person who's capable, at least at some point in their life, to be able to have children. Yatzazo, to the exclusion of an ilonis, she'ein darka lazria, that she is never able to have children in the first place ever, and therefore everyone would agree that she's not shaykh to the bitter waters, to Sotah. Meisvei, but now we have a kash. We're going to quote a very long brisa, at the end of which we're going to see that an argument for saying that Nilonis does drink the bitter waters. Okay. Meisvei. So Meisves, we have a kasha. Hamakana larus also shemeres yovam shelo. Okay, so if you have a fellow who warned is arusa or shemeres yovam, im ad sheloi konso nistra. So if, as we learned yesterday, if she secludes herself while she's still in arusa or a shemeres yovam, lo shosav lo notelas ksuba. So she does not drink the bitter waters, nor does she receive her ksuba. Meuberes Chavero, if a fellow marries a woman who was pregnant, right, meaning that she was widow, became a widow, or got divorced and she was pregnant, or she was nursing, lo shosos lo notlos ksuba. So in that case, if she got married, which she wasn't supposed to, so then so since they weren't supposed to be married, if she if he warns her and she secludes herself, so she does not drink the bitter waters and she does not receive her ksuba. Diver Meir, that's Reb Meir's opinion. Shahir Meir Omer ksuba. Meir would treat this case as as an osur case. Lo yiso adam meuberes chaver menekas chaver. That Reb Meir holds that a person may not marry meuberes chaver menekas chaver ve'im nasa, and if he did yotzi, they can't remain together. V'lo yachzer olamis, and they can never get remarried. Right. So meaning this is a regular situation of a woman who's also to him. Therefore, it's not shaykh to the bitter waters, just like an Amman of the Kohen Gadol is not shaykh. So the Chacham, whereas the Chacham say Yotzi, no, they can't remain together because Muberes Chaver, Menikas Chaver, they can't remain together. Uchsheyagi is mano, but wait 2 years. Uchsheyagi is mano lichnos yichnos, and then when you can get married, so then at that point you can get married. So because it's not somebody. This isn't an inherently forbidden union, so therefore she would be able to drink the bitter waters. Rova, a bocher, a guy who doesn't have children. Shinosa Akara, who married a woman who made herself unable to have children, Uzkena, or a woman who is at an age that is no longer able to have children. Ve'enlo isha uvanim, this bocher doesn't have a wife and children. Skip the next word. Dennis, I'm skipping the next word because there's a note that says you can, and I think it's better without it. Lo shosov lo noteles ksuba. So in this case, this bocher doesn't drink the mei sotah, the bitter waters, nor does right. So in the case of the bacher, so this zekena or this akara would not drink the bitter waters, and she would not receive her ksuba. But Elazar Omer says, Elazar yachulu lisa acheres v'lifros v'libos emeno, that no, he can since he can always marry another woman to have children with, so it's not inherently forbidden for him to be with an akara or a zekena, and therefore she would drink the bitter waters according to Rabbi Elazar. Aval makani la rusaso v'shemeres yavam shelo. Now, if somebody warns his arusa or his shomeres yavam, and then after they're already married, right, we had said before that if he warns her, the arusa or the shomeres yavam, and then she secludes herself while they're still not yet married, so then she wouldn't drink the bitter waters or get a ksuba. But if she secluded herself after they got married, so he warned her prior to them being married, but then she secluded herself after they were married, so then either she drinks the bitter waters and does the test, or otherwise she can't receive her. They can't remain together, and she does not receive her ksuba. Muberes umenekes atzmo, right? If you have a fellow whose wife is pregnant or nursing, and she's spending too much time with somebody else, and he warns her, and then she secludes herself with the fellow. So oshosa olonotelas ksubasa, right? You might think that maybe yes, out of concern for the child, she wouldn't drink the bitter waters. No, either she drinks the bitter waters, or they can't remain together, and she does not receive her ksuba. Harova shenosa akara vizkeno. Now, if you have a bacher who married a akara or zikena, somebody who's unable to have children, v'yeshlo ishu uvanim, and he has a wife and children, well, in that case, oshos olonotelas ksuba. So either she drinks the bitter waters, and if not, then she would not receive her ksuba. Ishes mamzer lemamzer. If you have a mamzer who's married to mamzeres, which is allowed, ishes nosin lenosin, right? Nosin are the givonim, right? Those people who were made into Wasserträgers and Holz schleppers. The Wasserträger is making a chasana in another few days. Ve'eshes nosin lenosin, ve'eshes ger ve'eved meshucher, and the wife of a convert or a freed slave, ilonis, or an ilonis. This is why we are quoting this whole long brisa. O shosa o lunotelis ksuba. Either they drink the bitter waters, or they do not receive the ksube. Katoni mia ilonis chufta de Rav Nachman. So we see it's a kashin of Nachman, because Rav Nachman had said that while there was a machlokas between the Tanakama and, I don't know, is it Rabbi Eliezer or Rabbi Elazar? In the brisa it was clear that it's Rabbi Elazar. So let's say it's Rabbi Elazar. That so Rav Nachman quoted, right, said Rav Nachman and Rav Baravua said that that the machlokas between the Tanakama and Rabbi Elazar is only by Akara and Zakena, but by an Ilonis everyone would agree that she would not drink the bitter waters, because it says v'niksav in Israel azar, and it's not shaychter. But here we have a brisa that says that an Ilonis does drink the bitter waters. So Tiyuvtei Rav Nachman, Omelech Rav Nachman would respond, Tanohi, no. It's machlokes Tanoim about whether or not an Ilonis drinks the bitter waters. And I say like the following Tana. The Tana is within the brisa. Rav Shimon ben Elazar, Omer says Rav Shimon ben Elazar, Ilonis lo shosiv lo notelis ksuba. That an Ilonis, says Rav Shimon ben Elazar, does not drink the bitter waters, does not receive her ksuba shenemar, as the pasuk says, v'niksav in Israel azara, as we said earlier, that if she did not have an affair, then she will have children. Mishadarka lazriya, somebody who's capable, in their nature to have children. Yotzazo shein darka lazriya, to the exclusion of a Ilonis who's unable to have children ever. So the rabbis who argue on Reb Shimon ben Elazar, and they say that an Ilonis does drink the bitter waters. So then, Haviniksa ben Israel Azar, my Avdele. What do they do with the pasuk of Viniksa ben Israel Azar? Mibardu lichdetanya. They use it like in the following brisa: Viniksa ben Israel Zara. That if she did not have an affair, so then she will have children. Shemoisa akare nifkedes. That if she was unable prior to have children, so now she will be able to have children. That's Rabbi Akiva's opinion, right? That if you have this woman who was unable to have children, and then she was, her husband warned her, don't be with so and so, and then she excluded herself, and now she did she drank the bitter waters, and she was innocent. So now she'll be able to have children. She's blessed to be able to have children. If that's so, Yisasru kola akaris v'yipaktu. Well, if that's the case, then basically you have a woman who's unable to have children. So what she's going to do is she's just going to set herself up to be a Sotah, which obviously is not a good thing, right? We don't want people putting themselves in a situation where their husband's warning them, don't be secluded with so-and-so, and she secludes herself. We don't want, it's a slippery slope, like we just don't want to go there. And what you're going to have though is that you're going to have women going there and drinking the Sotah water just so that they can have children, vizo, and other women who don't want to go there, right, just because they feel that it's inappropriate and they don't want to go there, they're being punished. They're on the one hand, they're unable to have children. The only solution to be able to have children seems to be to seclude themselves and make a whole mess. So then this other woman who doesn't want to go there, right? She doesn't seclude herself with another man who she's not married to. She loses out. But if you say that, then how do you understand that if she's innocent, then she'll have children? No, it means that if she was already having children, but it was very painful, it would no longer be painful. If she was having girls, she'd now have boys. Short babies, she'll have long babies. Dark babies, she'll have light babies. Alright? Aisha's mamzer the mamzer. Oh, so now if you have the Aisha's mamzer married to a mamzer, so we said that she would drink the bitter waters. Shita, isn't it obvious that she would drink the bitter waters? Why wouldn't she drink the bitter waters? Meaning, okay, fine, they're both mamzers, but like they're allowed to be married to each other. Well, might think that we don't want, a mamzer who's married to a mamzeris, their children remain mamzers, right? It's just, they continue being mamzers. So maybe we would have thought to say that once already there's a Sotah situation and they're not allowed to be with each other until she drinks the waters, maybe let's just have her not drink the waters and they just won't be able to stay with each other and we won't have more mamzers. No, but we say, no, she does drink the waters, and she'll have babies, and they'll be mamzers. Eishes ger ve'evid meshucher. You can skip the word Ilonis. Reb Dennis is because the Hagos Sabach says you could skip the word Ilonis, and I think it makes sense without it. So Eishes ger ve'evid meshucher. So the wife of a convert or a freed slave would drink the bitter waters. Pshita, obviously. Why wouldn't she drink the bitter waters? So Ma'od Tema. I may have thought Dabro b'nei Yisrael v'lo gerim. I may have thought speak to the sons of Israel and not to converts. Kamaj Malon. So Kamashman that that the wife of a convert or a freed slave, that a freed Canaanite slave becomes a Yid. So Kamashmalon that they do drink the waters. We don't exclude them. Why don't I say Daber b'nei Yisrael v'lo gerim ve'amarta ribuyu? Because it says ve'amarta, and ve'amarta is coming to include gerim and Avodah Meshuchorim. Eishes kohen shoysav chulei. So we said that the wife of a kohen would drink the bitter waters. Pshita, obviously she should drink the bitter waters. If you have a kohen who's married and he suspects that his wife's having an affair, he warns her, she secludes herself, she drinks the bitter waters. Obviously she drinks the bitter waters. Well, not so obvious necessarily. Ma'odetema, I may have thought to say v'hilo nisposa asura. Right? It says by Sotah, in the context of Sotah, that it was not against her will. So it was consensual. So then she's asur. Hanispasa. But if it was not willful, if it was against her will, muteris, then she could remain with her husband. So vizo, however, in Eishes Kohen, hov nispasa asura, but in Eishes Kohen, even if it was against her will, unfortunately she's not able to remain with her husband. So I might think that this whole parsha of Sotah is just not relevant to her. It's relevant to people who this distinction is relevant, that if it was against her will, they could remain together. If it was with her will, then they can't. So Ema lo tishte. So I might think that Eishes Kohen would not drink the bitter waters. Kamash Malon, that she does drink the bitter waters. Muteris levaila. And then she's permitted to her husband, right? In Eishes Kohen, she drinks the bitter waters, and if she survives, so then she's permitted to her husband. Pshita, isn't this obvious? Why not? Well, it's talking about where she's deteriorating. Well, if she's deteriorating, misnavno, how about kuamaya? If she's deteriorating, wouldn't that just be an indication that she had an affair and that maybe it's chustola and she's deteriorating? Well, it's talking about where her limbs are deteriorating. So like normally, right, let's go weiter. I may have thought to say, you guys hear the planes? They're probably practicing for Yom Ha'atzmaut. Ma'odetema, hazanuye, zanoi, Vaduloi badku amaya ki orche mishum de ba'ones zanoi ulegabi kohen asir kamash milot. Well, I may have thought, look, generally speaking, the Sotah waters do their magic by way of the stomach and then the hips. So that would be the normal way. But what's happening here with this Eishes Kohen is, so if she was just deteriorating the stomach and the hips, okay, so beseder, so then sure, maybe that means that she had an affair and the zuchus is tola. But here it's the rest of her body that's kind of deteriorating. She's having all sorts of aches, I don't know, her arms, her legs, her head, headaches, whatever it might be. So that has nothing to do with the Sotah, stuff, which goes stomach and hips. So I may have thought that, what these symptoms are. What these symptoms are that she had an affair against her will. So now, generally speaking, that would not make a woman usher to her husband, but by a Kohen dafka, it does. So I may have thought that maybe what this is showing is that she had an affair against her will, and specifically by a Kohen, that would be a problem. So maybe they wouldn't be able to remain together. So Kamash Milan, then no, if she's having aches and the rest of her body, it's no indication, and they could remain married. Eishes Saris Shosab, the wife of a castrato, drinks the bitter waters. Pshita, isn't that obvious? Why not? I may have thought that the pasuk says that in explaining what happened, that another fellow was with you aside from your husband. But a castrato is not really shaykh to have proper relations with his wife, so maybe it wouldn't be shaykh to Sotah. Kamash Malon, so it comes to teach that no, even the wife of a castrato would drink the Sotah. The Mishnah had continued, they call arayos mekanin, that on account of all the arayos mekanin. So a husband can even warn his wife, I don't want you to be secluded with your father. right? So pshita, this is obvious. I may have thought nitma shnei paimim echel ba'al v'echel ba'al. When it says nitma twice, so one is to teach that she's also to the husband, but the other one is that to teach that she's also to the potential adulterer. So echel ba'al v'echel ba'al heichad dekam mitzvah beha znus. So I might think that that's only where through these events she's becoming usher to this potential adulterer. But over here she's already usher to her relative from beforehand. So maybe I would think that it's not shaykh to Sotah. So Kamash Milan, no, even that is shaykh to Sotah, and yeah, and there could even be a kinoi with Arais. Fine. Chutz min hakohen v'chulei. So we said, with the two exceptions being a kohen, that there would be no warning for a minor, as well as for misha enu ish, somebody who's not an ish, somebody who's not a man. So how come it excludes a minor? Ish amar achmanav v'lo kohen, because the pasuk says, right, v'shochav ish osa, a man, not a minor. Misha enu ish lemute mai. So now the Gemara wants to know. This is basically going to take us to the bottom of the page. When it says somebody who's not a man, so what's that referring to? So if it's going to include a shachuf, so I haven't had the art school around because it's just been complicated. Meaning we have one art school I haven't been on. Anyways, so I think I understand it's some kind of fellow that the body is he's got some kind of skin disease or something. It just makes life very uncomfortable, and I guess he's not able to have beer properly. But we say that even a shachuf, you do kinui, ufosel b'truma, and if a bas kohen were to sleep with a shachuf, so then if he was like somebody she's not allowed to be with, so then she wouldn't be able to eat truma anymore. So mekanan ayadu pshita, obviously, if a married woman is spending time with a shachuf, we can warn her not to be with him. So I may have thought the pasuk says that if a man sleeps with a shich vazer, I guess in a way that would be able to produce children, but he's not able to do that. So Kamash Malon, that no, even so, you can warn him in the context of he could be the potential adulterer. Ufosel b'truma, and if it's a person who a bas kohen would not be allowed to be with, she would no longer be allowed to eat truma. Pshita, isn't that obvious? That the pasuk says that we not make his children chalos. So the isle zera lichalot, the leis zera lo lichalot. That I might think that only somebody who's able to have children can make chalos, but this person can't. So Kamash Milon, even so, still. If a bas kohen were to sleep with this shachuf who's possible to her, so maybe he's like a mamzer or something, so then she wouldn't be allowed to eat. Since she wouldn't be allowed to eat truma or anything like that. So maybe it's lemute ovek kochavim, that if a married woman is having a potential affair with an ovek kochavim, it wouldn't be shaykh to Sotah. V'amr of Hamnuna. Ovid Kochavim mekanan al yado ufosel b'truma, but Ramnuna says that Ovid Kochavim is shaykh to Sotah, and the husband can warn his wife, don't be with this Ovid Kochavim. So ufosel b'truma, and if a bas kohen has a relationship with an Ovid Kochavim, then she can't eat truma anymore. So mekanan al yado pshita. So of course the Ovid Kochavim would be shaykh to Sotah. Mao the tema. Well, I may have thought nitma shnei paim v'echel ba'al v'echel ba'al, that when it says nitma twice, it teaches that she becomes usher to the husband as well as usher to the bo'el, and in this case that would be the oved kochavim. But heichot dekam mitzvah behaznos, I might think that that's only when specifically through this potential affair, that's when she becomes usher to him. Aval ha hol v'asur v'kaima emalo. But over here, since she's already not allowed to be with him because he's no kochavim, so I might think that it's not shaykh to Sotah, Kamashmalan, that it is shaykh to Sotah. Fosel b'truma, and also he's not allowed. She's not right. She's not going to be allowed to eat truma anymore. Pshita isn't that obvious. Ma'odetema may have thought uvaskoin kisiya leish zar omer rachmana. Right. The pasuk says uvaskoin kisiya leish zar, that if a baskoin will be with someone she's not allowed to be with, since she can no longer eat truma, davar debar havoya in telabar havoya lo. I might think that kisiya means somebody who marriage is shaykh, that she can actually technically halachically marry. But in this case, where he's an ovid kochavim, and if a Jewish woman marries an ovid kochavim, so there's no kiddushin, so therefore there's no technical state of marriage. So therefore, I might think that she would be able to continue to eat truma. Kamaj Malon, the apostle, that she's not going to be allowed to eat truma anymore. Midi Rabbi Yochanan, from what Rabbi Yochanan says, Dam Rabbi Yochanan from Rabbi Shmuel, says Rabbi Yochanan from Rabbi Shmuel, Minayin le'ovid kochavim ve'eved shebo ala kohenes v'al-leviyah v'al-basisol, that if you have an ovid kochavim or an eved who sleeps with a kohenes or a leviyah or a basisol shepisalua, that they make her apostle, shenemar uvaskoin kisiya amona v'grusha, that right, meaning she becomes apostle and she can no longer marry a kohen. And in the case of a baskoin, she won't be able to eat truma anymore. So as it says, uvaskoin kisiya amona v'grusha, that if you have a baskoin who becomes a widow or gets divorced, she can go back home and eat truma. But davka, in a situation where she becomes a divorcee or a widow, mishayesh la amonas v'gerushin ba yotzu ovid kochavim ve'eved she'ein lo amonas v'gerushin ba. But by an ovid kochavim and an eved, she's not technically married to them. And if she's not technically married to them, then she doesn't become in a state, right? Doesn't have the status of a widow or a divorcee when she gets widowed or divorced from them. And therefore, because there's no state of widowhood or divorcehood, so then she can no longer go. Right, she can't go back to eat truma or become apostle. So what is this misha eno ish coming to exclude? So our Papa says it's coming to exclude a behema, that if she's spending too much time with an animal and her husband warns her against being with this animal, that wouldn't be shaykh to Sotah. She wouldn't have to drink the bitter waters on account of the animal. There ain't znus bebehema, because there's no znus, there's no state of znus when it comes to an animal. Amalei Rava mi parzakya Ravashi miran milsud amar rabbanon ain't znus bebehema. Says Rava mi parzakya to Ravashi, how do we know that there's no state of znus by behema? The puzzle says lo savi esnan zona. Don't bring the zona payments of a zona, umechir kelev, right? But umechir kelev v'gomer, and if you sell a dog, so then that money you shouldn't bring to the Beis Hamikdash. So we see that esnan is only in the context of a human, of a zona, but not by an animal. Betanin, we learn in a brisa, esnan kelev mechir zona mutarim. But theoretically, if you gave a dog, what was esnan kelev? If a fellow says to a zona, here's this like sheep, and now sleep with a dog, so that sheep wouldn't be able to go to, that wouldn't be considered esnan. Umechir zona, or if you have like a shifcha and you switch, and she was a zona, and you switch that for like a sheep, that also wouldn't be allowed. So that would be mutter, right? There's no concept of esnan kelev and mechir zona. So we see that esnan is so we see that there's no znus, right? Esnan zona, which is the money for znus, only applies to a human but not to a animal. Shneim, as the pasuk says, gam shneim, right? It says that in the pasuk by esnan zona mechir kelev, it says gam shneim, the two of them, right? Shneim v'lo arba. There's only those two things are usher, esnan zona mechir kelev, but not the other way around. Fine. So we see that there's no znus by an animal. Fine. Okay. So it sounds like this misha eno ish is coming to exclude a animal. Gosh, I think I'm getting sick down here. I think I wasn't feeling well beforehand, but spending too much time downstairs with the dryer, I'm pretty sure I can do it. Let's see if the next few days I'm like totally sick. I'm probably going to be. All right. Where am I? Vitanya esnan kelev mechir zona mutar and shneimar gam shneim shneim v'lo fine ve'ela shich vazer lomali. So why does it say shich vazer? Right? It says v'shachav yishosa shich vazer. And we wanted to say earlier that maybe that excludes a shachuf, because a shachuf is not able to have children. So, but we say no, Sotah is shaykh to shachuf as well. So then why does it say shichva zera if it seems to be including even people who can't have children? So in Ba'da Lichiditanya, as we learn in Ebreis shichva zera prat davar acher. So when it says shichva zera, it means the exclusion of davar acher. Right? Davar acher, what's this other thing? Amar Rav sheishes prat shekinilo shelo kedarka. Well, if the husband warned her, don't be with this other person, shelo kedarka, right, anally. So Omar lei Rava shelo kedarka mishkevei isha ksiv. So Rava says, yeah, but why would shelo kedarka be excluded? The pasuk says mishkevei isha, that whenever we have znus that's also, it's not just kedarka, it's also shelo kedarka. Elo Omar Rava, rather says Rava prat shekinila derech evar. Says Rava, rather it's if he warns her, don't be with this fellow, not to even to have bia, but just to be getting close to each other physically. But that, even though it's not encouraged, but it wouldn't be something that would make her usher to her husband. The priestess doesn't make her usher to her husband. Rather says the so to the exclusion of, if he warns her benishika, right? Nishika would be that nishika would be that if he only touches the penis to the vagina but doesn't actually penetrate at all. So if he warned her just against nishika, so then that wouldn't be shaykh, right? That wouldn't be shaykh to Sotah. So that makes sense if we say that ha'ara, which we've learned about, is sort of just initial penetration. So and ha'ara is generally a problem. So ha'ara would be a problem if we say that ha'ara involves penetration. Nishika does not. So then, in that case, yeah, it's true. Nishika would be excluded and she would not be a Sotah. Avon Nishika v'lo klumi. Hanudas yukalim ute Nishika. That's exactly what the Torah is teaching us. That yes, Nishika would be excluded. And Nishika is not ha'ara. Elamand Omer ha'ara zo Nishika. But if you say that ha'ara is Nishika, well then ma'ika l'meimer. Well then how could Nishika be okay? Nishika is ha'ara. And whenever we talk about ha'ara, it's a problem. So the olam l'shekini l'derech yevarim, so really it is talking about where he warned her, don't just be physically close with this individual. But there's nothing technically wrong with being physically close to the person that won't make her usher to her husband. You may have thought to say, you may have thought to say, well, Sotah is about what the husband is okay with or not okay with, and he seems to be not okay with this, so maybe she would be a Sotah, kamash malon, that she would not be a Sotah, which is a derech evarim, it's excluded from shichva zera, because it says shichva zera. Friends, I gotta get out of here before I continue to get sick. That was Daf Chavav, Masechta Sotah. Peace out.